y'all. I got my fan blowing this morning. Good morning. Welcome to Smart and Messy. And yes, I have a line across my head because I slept with a little cap on last night, trying to make my hair lay down. But welcome to Smart and Messy. I came on. I want y'all to know just how accurate some of my intuitive things are. It's really weird how it works, and I never know how it's gonna come. But sometimes I get energy. I call it energy connected. I don't know the correct terms. Like, they have this spirituality community and they use all these different terms. I just know how it happens, and I know how to describe it, and I don't use all these technical terms, and I probably never will, because I've never used them when I was a kid, and I don't use them now. But I had a spiritual connection with this particular guy. Nothing actual, just a spiritual, really deep spiritual connection. When we would take walks, we would go out in nature. So you naturally form a bond or an energetic bond with some people. I know I do. If they're around me all the time, I note their energy. So for some reason I had like this dream about this female that he was talking with, and she was way, way, way younger than what he was. I don't think she had even hit 25 yet. And I had this whole dream that this female had a life in a different state. And I also, in this dream, it showed a bunch of little kids, almost about anywhere from 7 to 8 children. And there was also a man with those children. It was just weird the way it came to me. But then the rest of it came like intuitively, like into my mind. I just was talking to him. I said, have you been intimate with this female? And he just swore that he had not been intimate with this female. I mean, there was no issue, but I kept getting these downloads, and whenever I got a download, I felt as though I needed to talk to him. I just blurted it out. I said, this female has a whole life in a different state, and she has almost 7 children, anywhere from 5 to 10 children. And he was like, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. I say, take my word. She has a whole different life, and she has lots and lots of kids. And they're not all from the same father. So, I'm like, why is he so upset if he's not, like, sleeping with her, right? But he was a little annoyed about it. So roll forward. This female gets pregnant by somebody else other than him. And then maybe about a year later, she's pregnant again. But she keeps taking these trips away from the city every time she has a child. So, finally, I asked him again. I say, have you been intimate with this person? He kept saying no. Okay. So there was this other guy that I was familiar with, this young guy. And I knew him because he was a friend of one of my children. And I knew that this particular guy was extremely promiscuous. Well, this girl started hanging with him. I'm talking about after the kids, she had these 2 kids. Still, he didn't know that she was leaving to go somewhere else, to another state, and then she would come back. So anyway, this one particular guy, she started messing with a young guy. He was promiscuous too, and I sensed that this girl was promiscuous because of the downloads I had gotten. So they started like hanging together, and I knew that this particular guy had an issue with substance abuse. You just know these things, you just know. And he had been away in jail. Actually, I used to help like young men that were associated with organizations, street organizations. I used to help them transition their lives and get jobs and kind of like help them turn around. You know, I would help them fill out applications, get their systems clean so that they could get jobs. And sometimes I used to lay like mattresses out on my living room floor. I would let them sleep, and it wasn't only guys, it was girls too that had issues, whereas I would help them get into a better type life. And I knew this guy's habits, and so he got with this girl, and I kept having downloads about this girl because this other guy, a grown man, kept hanging around her, you know. And he was pretending like he wasn't involved with her, but let me speed forward. This girl was always in the spotlight, always in the spotlight, always looking down. All of a sudden, just kind of dropped off. And then the guy, the younger guy that I knew, he kind of dropped off. And I'm like, I wonder what happened to them. So, through the guy that she was messing with, the younger guy, before he dropped off, he let me know that she had 7 children that were staying in a different state, and family was watching the kids. And there was the download. I had this download that she had a whole bunch of kids, and that she was, you know, living kind of like a double life. And so I let the guy know. I said, you know, she got 7 kids in a different state, right? He said, how do you know? How do you know? I said, I told you I had the download, and then it was just confirmed by somebody that she's involved with. And he looked a little annoyed when I said that she was involved with somebody else. But needless to say, they dropped off the scene. And then I lost contact with this guy that I would see all the time. We would walk and, you know, just talk and stuff. Nothing ever intimate. So, he disappears off the scene. So speed forward about 4 or 5 years later, I see him, and he's like really, really skinny, and he looks very, very ill. I mean, like, he's looking very, very sick. So, I see him, I speak to him, I'm like, hey, how you doing? And, you know, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, his body is just, it looks wasted. And, to speed forward again, I had another download that this girl and the younger guy that she was hanging with that gave her ill, I kept in this, I'm like, oh my gosh, could they really have the wood, the HIV, you know? And I started doing some digging. I'm not going to tell you how I dug and how I found out, but yes, they were both infected. And the guy, the older guy who kept saying that he wasn't sleeping with this girl, he had contracted it too. So I'm like, hey, you can't lie to me, because I'm going to pick up on energy. I'm going to get a download, the most high, the higher beings or whatever. They're going to tell me or let me know what's going on, even if I don't see it with my physical eyes. I get messages that warn me about things. It could warn me. It could have been warning me like, don't sleep with this guy. No matter what, just stay friends with him. Don't sleep with him because he's messing with this promiscuous girl. And I even warned him, but he didn't listen. So all of them got sick. And I'm telling you, my intuition has saved me plenty of times. My intuition has cued me in to try to help other people. Whenever it comes, it's to help somebody else or to keep myself safe from something. So when somebody tells me, when I get a download and I ask them, have you been with so-and-so? Even if in a relationship, I will ask them straight out, have you been with this person and this person or this person? It could have been in the past, it could be in the present, you know, but I'll pick up on it. And I told you I don't know if y'all remember, but I tell you sometimes I can scroll up like Facebook or social media and suddenly I will stop or have a pain or something, cluing me that there's something going on with the person. Like one particular day I was scrolling up Facebook and there was this guy, and for some reason I got a pain in my abdomen, so I immediately went to Messenger and I kept saying, are you okay? Are you okay? Finally, he responded. He said, I'm in the hospital. He said, I'm having horrible abdominal pains and he told me that he had anemia, sickle cell anemia. And I felt his pain, y'all. I felt his pain. And then one day I was scrolling on Facebook again, and I saw like a dot under a post. It was just like when you type and put a period, and that's the only thing that was there. And I got this overwhelming feeling that this person was going to commit suicide. I immediately tried to reach him through Messenger. I couldn't reach him. So by the grace of God, I asked my one of my sons, my younger son, did he know this person? He said, yeah, I know him. I said, do you know where he lives? He said, yeah, I do. And so I said, we need to rush over there. We need to rush over there quickly. So my son and I, we sped to the guy's house. We paid on the tour. I couldn't get an answer. And then I heard like a sound over in the laundry room. There was a laundry room in the garage next to like I guess the back door, the kitchen door where the cars drive under. And I went over to the door, intuitively snatched the laundry door open, and he was in there balled up. The smell of alcohol it came out of the laundry. It was so bad. And I pulled him up off the ground. I literally pulled him. I said, come on, come out of here, come out of here. And my son, he was like, Mom, how you know? I just knew. So my son and I, we walk in nature a lot, and we know that nature is healing. So we put this guy in the back of the car. He was smelly, I mean really smelly, and his clothes, they weren't so tidy. So we got into nature, and at first it was slow, and eventually he was sobering up to the point where he started to have be aware that we were in nature, but it was a healing thing. And by the end of our nature walk, he was totally sober. I said, you can't do this. I say, I saw like a dot under your post on Facebook. I said, were you thinking about taking your life? He said, I had just given up. He said, everything was going bad in my life, and I just wanted to give up. And he said, I didn't even care if I drank myself to death. But from that point on, after that nature walk, I was able to help him to get sober and clean. And he started the job. I started the job. I taught him, because a lot of these guys, if they've been on the street, they don't know how to fill out applications or, take the steps necessary to even get a job, because they've never held like a legitimate job. But let me tell you, most of them are extremely smart in certain ways, but street smart. So I helped him to get his resume. I say, are you good at sales? So I put that in there. Oh, he was good at sales, because I think he dealt in doing street sales, if you know what I mean. And they had all these skills, but they were using them in the wrong way. So I got him clean, and he got him a job, and from that day forward, for the past 15 years now, he's held the job. Even if he would lose one, he would get another one immediately, but he had stayed steadily employed, and he stopped doing all that street stuff. But things like that happen, and I'm sometimes sent to help people, or to get them on the right path, I should say. But that's how my intuitive stuff has worked over the years. And let me see if I can think of another. I have something called I call it mirror emphasis, whereas I can feel other people's pain. Sometimes I used to think it was my pain, and then I realized I was picking up other people's pain. Like if my mother was in pain or something, and I'm having this pain, and I call up, and then she'll say, I'm having this back pain, and it started to be like, I say, this is too much of a coincidence that I keep getting these pains when a family member is in pain. And then one day I was standing up and I fell to the ground with a horrible pain rushing up my spine, through my legs, everything. And it wasn't until like a week later that I was told that my sister had gone into the hospital and that she had fallen to the ground in pain. Same pain I described to you. And we found out that she had a muscular disorder, MS. So things like that happen. I'm like, why me? Why me? Why am I getting these downloads? Why am I feeling other people's pain? I don't know why. But I just know it happens. See you later. Smart and Messy.